Hello, everybody. Today's May 11th, 2011. Thanks for joining me here on the Moneybag 73 channel. After I did my video last night about the countries and the gold reserves that they have and what percentage of their total reserves it is, came across an article today about whether Geithner is going to be selling our gold or not in order to buy some time so we don't go above the debt ceiling. I mean, what a brainy idea that is. Let's just sell the gold and buy us a tiny bit of time. It's going to shock you when you hear this. It's not that much time at all. So what the heck, what's the... He's not going to do it. I mean, you got to be stupid to sell the gold. There's no... It's not going to even do anything. I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's only worth $400 billion. The largest gold hoard in the world. $400 billion is a lot of money, but we're talking about a $14.3 trillion deficit. The gold will only pay off like 3% of the deficit. But that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about selling it so that we can buy, a few months' time before they can come up with, an amount, an agreement, so they can raise the debt ceiling. Whatever. I mean, totally ludicrous to think about spending that. I mean, that's if it's even there. I mean, I don't even know if the gold is there, but if it is there, this is going to really blow you away. I compared 1980 to 2011. I used 1980 because I didn't want to use like a year when gold was like $300 an ounce. So it's $1,500 now. So I used 1980, and I used the $850 price that it went to, at its peak. So there, in that year, we had about 100 metric tons more than we do now. And so it was worth $224 billion, our gold back then. It's worth almost $400 billion now, with 8,133 tons, just 100 tons less. So here's the thing, though. If we sold half the gold in 1980, we could run the country for a year and a half without having to borrow a dime. Because back then we had like $73 billion deficit for the whole year. Now we have $1.7 trillion deficit. In March 2011 alone, it was $188 billion we spent, more than we brought in as a country. So over the last 8 months, it averages out to about $125 billion a month. The geniuses running this country spend beyond what they bring in. It's totally mind-blowing. And if we sold half our gold now, we could run the country for a whole 1.5 months. I mean, it was a year and a half back in 1980. It's 1.5 months now. That totally puts things in perspective. It's the situation that this country's in. And when you become aware of this, you have to be overwhelmed with the feeling of, what do I do? I mean, what can I do as an individual? I've been researching that for 4, 5, 6 years now, and the best thing I can say is, besides a food supply and guns and ammo and things along those lines, gold and silver. Real money for thousands of years. People who ran into gold were the ones that survived in Weimar Germany during the hyperinflation in the 1920s. Zimbabwe, people were using gold when they collapsed their currency recently. People using little bits of gold. They were out there getting a piece of gold out of the ground, mining so they could buy some food for their family. People revert back to gold and silver in times when currency collapsed. That's what's happens throughout history, and people, gold and silver accepted worldwide for thousands of years. So to me, that's the best thing you can do as far as, from a financial perspective, from a financial standpoint. So I wanted to leave you with a quote by Ben Bernanke from 2002. And this just shows you that, I'm sure a lot of you probably already heard this quote, but this reassures what we're doing by holding physical metals with the anticipation of a possible currency collapse. And Why do we worry about a currency collapse? Because we have a Federal Reserve chairman that's quoted as saying the following: the U.S. government has a technology called a printing press, or today it's electronic equivalent, that allows it to produce as many U.S. dollars as it wishes at no cost.